Sir, we've got about 2 minutes, but everybody's here now. So if you want to, we can wait a couple more minutes, but all the council is here.
All council's on. Well, I guess that we can go through the preliminaries here, and by 9 o'clock we'll be all set to go. So we'll call the meeting to order at, I guess, 9:28. Adoption of the agenda. Recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby adopts the agenda as presented. Can I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Bonnie, seconded by Richard. All in favor of that? And that is carried. Certainly a reminder to disclose any pecuniary interest as it arises.
Pre-disclosed, she has a conflict with item number 8.1.3.
So noted. First order business is our delegations, and certainly would like to welcome Megan and Bruce this morning, our Elgin County School Board trustees. We have outlined a few items of discussion, certainly for the benefit of the trustees, that they kind of know what we're going to want to talk about, and doesn't preclude anything else that maybe the trustees want to bring to our attention as we go through this. So we'll just start off real quickly. Welcome, Bruce. Welcome, Megan. Anything that you would like to open up with?
Megan, you go first.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting us. I feel like I haven't seen anybody in so long. It's just nice to see people. So go ahead, Bruce.
I just want to also say thank you very much for the invitation to this meeting. I know Megan and I have talked, and we kind of feel that the East Elgin area is in pretty good shape. And in the Central Elgin area, meaning St. Thomas in the middle of the county, we know we have some boundary issues we need to take care of, but I think we have some vulnerabilities in the West that that really we need to address as a group and see what we can do to take care of it. You're our vulnerable area in my mind anyway. Thank you for the meeting invitation.
Thank you so much for that, Bruce. And that's one of the things with these Zoom meetings. I think in a lot of situations, it's easier to bring people together, for quick conversations like this. And certainly thank you for taking the time to spend some time with us. So let's just start off with the Albro Public School edition. Certainly there's this seemed like it was going to proceed there a number of years ago. In fact, the municipality of West Elgin issued a building permit to the school board to proceed with that. And I guess with the change of government, that was put on hold. One question that I've got for the two members here, just to sort out what's real and what isn't real. I have heard that at that time there were 3 additions that were sanctioned to be built, and that there are 2 of them that have been completed, and the one that's kind of left outstanding is the Albro School. Can you shed any light on that, Bruce or Megan?
I know the one at Riverside in Middlesex is currently it's not underway, but it is still in process. And I'm sorry, I'm not certain on the other one that you're speaking of.
Okay, well, this is what I'm trying to sort out. If this has happened and it's being acted upon in other areas, I'm just patiently wanting to know just what the plans are for Albro Public School.
So I believe right now, I did ask about this before the meeting. So it says that Thames Valley is in partnership with the Consolidated Municipal Service Manager and has proposed a change of scope to the project in an effort to move the project forward. It has been submitted to the ministry for approval to proceed to tender with the scope change, and that they will let us know when they receive further information. And that, I believe, is where they're at Riverside also.
Okay. I know we have had a delegation to the minister regarding this issue, and we've had some discussions with Jeff Urick. Do you have any advice as to how we can try to encourage this to be moved forward at a a pace that will be faster than snails?
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, I don't know, other than you and I making, bringing it to the attention of our administration at the board, and perhaps encouraging our chairperson to write a letter to the ministry. Maybe we could have that letter be written. I guess it's just a matter of bringing it to people's attention. Of course, again, Jeff Urick is probably our best asset in all this.
Yeah, we met with Jeff at our last council meeting, and certainly this was one of the topics that we discussed, and certainly continue those discussions with Jeff and with Delaney, as how we can move this forward in some form. So that's why we are very happy to have you two here, because if we kind of speak with a united voice, maybe somebody will pay attention to us. So council, have any questions to our guests on this subject? Bonnie?
I guess, and you may not have an answer, but we really don't have a lot of information about what is proposed in this edition. We understand that there is a funding shortfall. We understand that there is to be 10 infant, 15 toddler, and 24 preschool spaces. Is there going to be a before and after school as well? Do you know that detail? And I wondered if there are other renovations that are happening with the school concurrently with this addition.
I don't know that, but I am writing it down and I will ask and can get back to you.
Same for me.
Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things from my perspective, and I'm a new counselor, so I'm new at this, but just having something so important as that happening in our community and not really having much information at all. In fact, sometimes we hear things from the community before we hear it, from the sources that we would expect. So it is kind of an unusual circumstance in my situation, or my opinion anyway.
Anything else from council on that topic? Just one more question for the school board. Understanding the pandemic has thrown things a lot out of perspective here. Our Tiny Tots cooperative nursery school did have a wonderful home out at Albro Public School, and with the pandemic, they've been locked out. Is there the possibility that when things settle down, that nursery school will again find a home at Albro Public School?
That's probably something else, Duncan, we got to write down and get the answers for you.
Okay.
As far as I know anyway. Megan, do you know any more about that?
I've also added this to my list, and
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're kind of their default landlord, I guess, when they have no other place to go. We hear them knocking at our door, and we try to accommodate them. But it's sometimes we have to inconvenience a lot of people to try to accommodate them when it seemed like it was such a natural fit out at the Albro Public School for them to be out there. But certainly, notwithstanding the fact that COVID-19 has thrown a wrench into a lot of things. So so I see no more hands going up on the Albro Public School question. Next item up is West Elgin Secondary School Programming. Richard?
You're on mute, Richard.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I have one main concern about West Elgin Secondary Modern School, really. I do know that a lot of students in grade 8 from Aldeburgh are not going to West Elgin Secondary Modern School, which you'd think would be a natural place for them to go, keeping our youth in our own area. I find that this year, even more so, having a grandchild there, that they all want to, it seems that a whole lot of people, students, want to go to Arthur Voden, which is a lot of traveling all the way to St. Thomas and hours on a bus back and forth. And I asked the question, why? So is West Elgin doing the programs that Arthur Voden are? And why should our students have to travel all that far to get the programming they need? When I know for a fact that West Elgin isn't full. We have room to do some of these trades in. And I think that's another thing is, years ago, everybody wanted to be on computers and things like that. Nowadays, if you want to get somebody with a trade, you can't get them for love nor money. So I think we've gone full circle. We need to start teaching the basics again. But anyway, I'm very concerned about our students leaving our area. I think we should be trying to keep them in there. Thank you.
Hey, anybody like to comment on that?
So I've just written down here, the question is, why or what programs are being offered at Arthur Voden that are not being offered at West Elgin? And basically, how can we get those programs at West Elgin to keep students in the community?
Correct.
Okay.
So
We can find that out. And I feel like a lot of this is going to be us now going back and getting information and bringing it back to you, but.
We know how you feel.
yes, I think that like there are certainly pressures at Arthur Voden too. There are very few students at that school. At one time when I was teaching there, we had 1,300 kids, and now they're down below 300 anyway.
Oh.
Yes, and I think what happens is the kids that are going from West Elgin are going for the technical certificate. And so does West Elgin, does the high school have the same shops that they have at Voden? Do you know whether you have like a machine shop there? And I don't know what shops, because I think that's what they're going for.
Well, I couldn't comment on that, Bruce, but I think that it's something that possibly the Thames Valley School Board should be through surveying their students to find out why are students from West Elgin actually leaving our community here to go to Arthur Voden, and is there the capacity to have the necessary shop courses at West Elgin? It's
Ressa and Angela have their hands up to respond to that question.
okay. So I think that it's something that from the school board's perspective, that's information that they should be having on hand of just why are students going where they're going. Start with Teresa.
Good morning, through the chair. So I have a grade 8 student right now, and we got to do the lovely tours of the high schools in January virtually. So we looked at them all because we have options here of where to go. And we looked at Arthur Voden as well, just to see what they offered and curiosity. And what we understood from the tour that we had and from students that are going there from our area or looking to go there from our area is they have a hairdressing specialist, and it goes towards your apprenticing hours. They have all these, I forget what the real name is, the students call them isms. They're like specialized program. I know West Elgin has a agriculture one, and it gives you a special extra line and dedication on your OSSD. So they have different things at different high schools, because you get a printout of what is at each high school that it offers. The grade 8 students do, I believe, at all schools. going into whatever schools they're eligible to go to. But I know, speaking to the West Elgin and what they have to offer, they have machine shop, they have auto, and they have woodworking is what they have there. And it looked like, I mean, they sprayed the undercoating of my car. They looked like had a lot going on there. I'm not sure about the resources or the staff, or maybe it could be something along there. I don't know if they have teachers that are, in demand, or if they even have the supply that they would need. But they have shops there. Don't know, because as I said, we didn't get to tour them physically this year because of COVID. But they did a virtual tour, and they had quite extensive shops at Arthur Voden that they showed. So that could be it as well. But if you have that little piece of your apprenticeship already started, it starts end of grade 10, beginning of grade 11, then maybe that's the draw. That I'm just putting that out there to Deputy Mayor Leatham, that maybe that was the draw of having it already started there. And why can't I echo him? Why can't we just do that in our area and keep the kids here, keep the students in our area?
Angela, or does Megan or Bruce want to respond to that?
I mean, I think we're both very big supporters of keeping students in their communities. So all of these things I'm happy to look into and bring back to you guys.
Okay. I believe, Angela, you've got a question?
Just to echo a little bit what Councilor Tully was saying, one of the things a lot of my residents keep expressing to me is in the last number of years, they have removed a lot of the science and arts programs from West Elgin Secondary. And there is a lack of culinary courses. And that's part of the reason that some of the students are leaving the community. And parents have had conversations with me over that's the reason why their students are leaving the community. And in return, sometimes that has then meant that the parents then sell their homes and leave our community, which as a counselor causes me concern to see residents leave our community and move away because we cannot provide the educational needs within West Elgin. So I echo what Deputy Mayor Leatham is saying about keeping families and growing the resources that we need within West Elgin. And I know in recent years, the science program has seen a decrease in staffing levels, and I believe that that teacher was not replaced. So it's a concern to me if we can't provide the the continuing education past grade 8. Are they going to stay in the community?
Okay. Any response?
A little bit off topic, but not. So the Rural Education Task Force is currently working to put together some community consultation process regarding our rural schools in specific. And we're not certain yet if it's going to be able to happen in this spring because of COVID, or if it's going to have to wait until the fall. But I just want to put that out there that I think it'll be important to also have input from you and to maybe help get this to the community so that we can get this feedback at that committee level also. We're trying to inform a report to take back to the board, and this is all very helpful, community information to have also. So,
Okay.
just a comment.
Yes, I would like to echo what Megan said. This Rural Education Task Force is somewhat unique in the province. It's an initiative, really comes from Arlene Morel, our past chair. And we're hoping that we can have some real influence in what happens in our rural schools. So your input would be terrific.
Okay. Any other hands up? Are we all done with that subject there? With that, we'll move on to the former West Elgin Senior Elementary School building as it sits idle. I think many of us are asked, what's the future plans for that building?
Yeah. No idea. I have no idea. Another question we're gonna have to take back.
Well,
Do you have ideas on something that you want it for?
I don't know. I don't know whether we've ever put a lot of great thought to it. I mean, there's been a number of suggestions, I guess, over the years of turning it into a technical school, kind of reversing the buses, having specialized classes there that people from other areas, you know, even across the school board boundary lines, you know, as we're very close to Chatham, Kent, we're kind of in a niche area right in the middle here. So I think that there's the unfortunate part is the building sits there and it continues probably to deteriorate by not being used. And at some point in time, somebody will come back with the recommendation that it's beyond its best before date. So let's just knock this asset down and cut our losses. But you know, I would hope that somebody is seriously looking at alternative uses for the building.
Agree. Okay.
Grassa?
Through the chair, just wondering why or if it could go up for sale. Why it's not up for sale.
I can ask that too, or one of us can ask that.
I've had just a couple of developers ask, wondering about it. It's beautiful property, large building. They had ideas for maybe seniors area because it has the, I don't know, the pit is what I call it. You go down and it's open and then it has all the classrooms pinwheeled off of it. And I know at one point the high school was using the kitchen for culinary classes that have now gone away, as Councillor Camrat said. So yeah, it'd be great if we could utilize that. And even if it was up for sale, then we'd have some options.
Okay.
Richard?
Yeah, I did go to a meeting some years ago about the very fact that when the school board thought it may go on the market, but it was determined that it couldn't be sold to a private buyer because it's landlocked, and it has to share a drive with the pub with the high school, which you understand if you've got high school students walking across the road and things like that, because it's on their property, that you can't have trucks and wagons and activity from a private source going in and out. So that seemed to be the main stop right there. So they were even thinking if we could get a right of way over to the playing fields on our own park to make an access. But that's as far as it ever went, you know, but that was one of the downers why, in my opinion, it didn't get sold.
So just to echo to that, our planners took a little look at this before this meeting, and he was a planner for a school board temporarily before, so he kind of has an idea. And he said that you could, if you did a severance of it, like, because that would happen to sell it to a private developer, you just needed to build a driveway on the other side and there's already access, a small driveway. There's 2 driveways apparently. He said it could be easily done the way it's set up now. So maybe there's a change because of the second driveway. I don't believe that second parking lot and driveway was there before. Maybe that's the difference.
Okay.
So it just kind of puzzles me that we talked earlier about trying to find funding and convince the ministry to build new onto the Aldborough Public School to assist in, which I hear is one of the critical issues that we have here is daycare, early years child care. We talked a little bit about the Tiny Tots nursery school needing a permanent home. And here we have an existing building that's not being used, that if somebody was to kind of sit down and scratch a plan out of being able to repurpose that building to accommodate the needs of our community in such a way that we're not spending money on new and we're not chasing around trying to solve a problem that maybe the solution is already sitting there in that building.
That would make too much sense, Duncan.
Well, yeah, it's, and I mean, that's one of the things, I guess, when we all sit as part of the public purse, the public scratches their head when they say, well, you got a perfectly good building, why are you building a new one?
So Councillor Cameron has her hand up.
Okay, Angela.
I do know when you go back digging through your records that the Dutton Cooperative at one time did go through that building with a potential look through for a daycare in that building with the Tenswell School Board. And I know there was some roadblocks. I don't know what roadblocks they were or why that never moved forward. But that would be something you would want to find out. The investigation when you're looking into that. It was looked at it 5 years ago, roughly.
Okay.
Well, I think a lot of those things, as you do a study on something, when you set off down the path, are you doing the study to find out the reasons why you can't do something, or are you starting down that road to see if it can be done? And that's what I think is really important when you begin a study on something. And I would hope that, the school board will sit back and take a look at this and say, what can be done with this building?
Agree.
How can we get our value out of an asset that we already have?
I agree. I've taken quite a few notes, and I'm certain, Bruce, you have also. We can get back to you. I don't know if you want us to come back in person or virtual person, or if you want us to just send you an email, but I'm happy with whichever way you guys would like us to proceed.
What would council like to do? Have another sit down maybe in a month with our reps, or just correspondence satisfactory? Any preference?
I think personally it would be nice to take their invitation for them to come back, and then if we do have another little question to go back, you take it back with you. So I think it would be rather nice, and thank you very much for offering.
Bonnie?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think in-person ideas come forth a little bit easier than on paper, and I would just encourage our board reps to keep in mind that West Elgin is willing to be as flexible as possible with whatever methods we have at our disposal to make a renovation or a new build or whatever as easy as possible. So.
Okay, that's wonderful. I'm really sorry that I have to jump out.
Yeah, well, that's good. Thank you for coming, and I think this is something that we should do on, kind of a regular basis. So just sitting down and touching base with you guys. I think it's important for us, and I think it's important for you.
Yeah, I would be happy to. I'm sure Bruce feels the same.
Sure. I have a couple of points to make once. Megan,
Okay.
You're on your way now, are you?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
First of all, Duncan, is that a model of an Avro Arrow that's on the shelf behind you?
Yeah, it is.
I wish I had one too.
I've got a fair bit of Arrow photographs and things like that kicking around.
Yes, we have several books here too. So one, I've been working with the Central Elgin Council and the arenas here to develop what we used to have was a reciprocal agreement that between the board and the municipality that the kids can use the arenas during the day if they're not busy without a charge. And I don't know whether you folks have some sort of an agreement out there or not with the board. It seems the board has different agreements in different places rather than one straight thing. Our agreement with the Central Elgin, Sally and I have been kind of pushing it, is just about complete now. So that means that the kids at Kettle Creek Public School, used to be Port Stanley, will now be able to go over to the arena during the day and use it, and there will be no cost to them. And it includes all the schools in Central Elgin. So there's the one in Sparta, the one at New Sarum, and the new one in Belmont, and they'll be able to use the arena. So I don't know if you have something like that, but or whether you want something like that, but we've been working on it with the one group with Central Elgin, so it might be quite easy to put something together with you folks if that's something you'd like.
My over the years, I think that there has been usage for the school board at the arena. I know that the school hockey teams would play there. I don't know what it currently stands. I don't know if Lee is on the meeting now. Does Lee have any information? Do we have any agreements with the school board or with West Elgin and Weesis regarding, and St. Mary's regarding this?
The only one that I know of currently is we do have the secondary school does have a contract to use the ice. They do pay for that currently at a reduced cost, but they do have a contract to offer those classes that are in the arena during the school year. I also know that at one time the warm room was open for the kids during the school days. Like they would go and sit, some of them would sit and eat their lunch in there and whatnot. So I don't believe that it was extended to the whole building, but I know the warm room specifically was open for kids to go in and get something at the canteen and sit and have their lunch. But those are the only two that I know of right now.
Well, I guess my point is if you think something like that would be advantageous to the kids, we've been working on it, and while it's fresh with the people who are doing the agreements, it might be a good time to look at it if it's something you're interested in.
Well, I would suggest that, that we're kind of lazy down here. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if you've got an agreement that you've negotiated out with Central Elgin, make sure that you send it to us.
Okay.
And then we can have a look at it and see how it can fit into our program at the arena. Is everybody comfortable with doing that?
Yep.
I think the arena board would want to have a look at that and see whether it meets their needs.
It just also, Bruce, just so you know, we share our arena with Dutton Dunwich. So it wouldn't be just our municipality. We run it together as a group.
Right.
So it'd be the two municipalities. But yeah, I think it can be brought to your board.
Right. That sounds great.
Yeah. So if you would just send that to Jana, she'll make sure that it gets to the arena board to be able to review it, and then they would make recommendations to both councils.
All right. Thank you. And the other issue that I wanted to bring up, and I know it's not exactly in your territory, it's the Dunwich Dutton School. There were some issues out there with regards to safety. There was a gate that was being left open. It was, as you know, at the school, the parking where you drive in, the parking lot's adjacent to the playground, and there was a gate that was being left open. That has been dealt with now. It was just a simple matter of raising the gate so it didn't get caught in the snow and things like that. But we looked at the area where the grade ones and little kids play, and it actually turned out that there were 7 exits into roads and parking lots from where the little kids play. None of them had gates on them. So there will be a meeting out there probably mid-April now to look at trying to address those issues. I know it's not Dunwich Dutton's really not in your territory, but we're looking at that to make that school safer.
Okay. Well, I think we've had a very productive discussion this morning. Anybody else wish to have some final words before we let Bruce go? I don't see any hands up, Bruce. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and certainly look forward to talking to you on more of a regular basis.
That sounds great. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for representing Elgin the way you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
All right. We have a time limit on this public meeting, or can we roll right into it, Jenna? You're muted.
Yeah, we can roll right into it, sir. There is no one here for it anyway, and I got no comments, but you have to go through.
Okay,
it.
well, our next item is a recommendation that council proceed into a public meeting at 10:03 a.m. pursuant to section 4(6) of the Retail Holiday Act, ROS 1990, to hear from any interested members of the public relating to the application of the Rodney market to permit retail store to be open on the following statutory holidays: Good Friday, Victoria Day, Canada Day, and Thanksgiving Day. You received no written comments?
Nope, I need a mover and seconder to open the meeting.
We'll do that. Mover and seconder. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Rowe. All in favor? That's carried.
No comments have been received.
Pardon?
There have been no written comments
Okay.
received.
And you say we have no one from the public wishing to speak on the issue?
There's no one on the meeting. Nope.
Any comments from council regarding this application? Seeing none, we have a recommendation that hereby closes the public meeting at
10:04.
10:04 a.m. and reconvenes to the regular meeting of council. Mover and seconder. Moved by Cameron. Second by Leatham. All in favor? And that is carried. Next item, adoption of the minutes. Recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on March 11th, 2021 be adopted, circulated, and printed. Mover and seconder. Moved by Rowe. Seconded by Cameron. All in favor? That's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none. Staff reports. We'll start out operations, community services. Lee, gravel tender.
Yep, good morning, thank you. So this is the 2021 gravel tender. It was put out, advertised between February 26th and March 12th. And as of the closing date, we received one submission. That was from Johnson Brothers Gravel. It is a fairly steep increase over last year's price, but last year's price had been held this steady since 2018. So 2018, 2019, and 2020, we received the same pricing. And unfortunately, this year there is an increase, and it's largely due to supply and demand. There is a large, with all the construction and housing and everything going on right now, there is a huge demand for gravel, and the supply has not gotten any bigger. So that is that's what's driving the increase here. So.
Okay. You want me to read the recommendation? Okay, that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosling, Manager, Operations, Community Services, and that West Elgin Council hereby accepts the quote submitted by Johnson Brothers Limited at a cost of $262,350 plus applicable taxes to supply and application of maintenance gravel included in the 2021 municipal budget. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Moved by Leatham and seconded by
Tally, Tressa had her hand up. You just can't seem to see her, sir.
I can't see her.
I'm here.
She is here.
Okay, there you are. You were seconding that?
Yes.
Did you have a question?
No, just was seconding it, but thank you.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor of that? And that is carried. Next item, Lee.
Believe is the sanitary sewer capacity study.
Yes.
Okay, so just to give council a little bit of background on this, over the last several months, we've had, or we've been receiving multiple requests or inquiries about development, more so in the town of West Lorne. One of the first questions that a developer will ask is, utilities, services. Can you supply us with water? Can you supply us with wastewater services? So the water is pretty straightforward. The plant in West Lorne, especially now with the refurbishment, Aqua tells us that their capacity is where they're not anywhere near capacity at the plant, so which is good, but they can't tell us what our capacity is for the actual collection system. So we know we can treat it once it gets to the plant. We just don't know if we can get it to the plant. So as these developments continually come along, at some point, we could very well be out of capacity. So in order to have that information available to be able to provide that to them in a timely manner when the question is raised, we feel that it's necessary to complete a study of the collection system in West Lorne to know exactly capacity can be. It's not just based on the size of the lines and how many houses are on it. It's right down to what condition are those lines in? Are they partially filled with sediment? Is there infiltration of the water system? And a lot to like the big users, how much are we actually putting through there? We know what's getting to the plant, but like I said, we need to understand that if we allow a subdivision of 100 homes in a certain area of town, can we supply wastewater services for that? So we reached out to Spreet and Associates, who have done the bulk share of engineering services for the wastewater system in West Lorne over the years, and asked them about doing a sanitary study. So in the background of this report, that is their quotation that they sent back to us. They're currently finishing one very similar for the town of Watford, which is a larger project. So that gives them a good idea of what the costs are going to be. So that's with council's approval, we will acquire Spreets. We will have Spreets complete that same study for us in West Lorne, so we have that information available. And it's also for planning, possibly the development that is currently in the works. There's a good chance that we have the capacity for that, but for future development or even just for planning for capital replacement down the road, I think this would be very beneficial.
Questions for Lee on that report? I think it's a very timely report that, we need to have that information at our fingertips, and probably now is the time to get it with the potential of new development coming on. So I do have a recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, and that West Elgin Council provide direction to staff regarding, wrong one. West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations Services, that West Elgin Council approves completion of a sanitary capacity study for the town of West Lorne to be completed by Spreet Associates at a cost up to $22,000 plus applicable taxes. We have a mover and seconder for that report. Moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. Any more discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Next item up, Lee, is Dutton Child Care Summer Camp.
Yes, thank you. So staff received a letter from Dutton Child Care requesting use of the recreation center for day camp programming this summer. Just a bit of background, this was a program that was run by the municipality a few years back. In 2018, it was operation of the program was turned over to Dutton Child Care, and they ran the program in 2018 and 2019. And last year, it obviously did not run due to COVID. So in speaking with the coordinators from Dutton Child Care in the past, the first 2 years that they ran that, they were not charged for the use of the recreation center for July and August. So we had some discussions around that. We've also reached out to the other users of the facility, which typically all the groups in the summertime don't use the building, which allows it to be free for this programming. We did reach out to Shelley at Tiny Tots and early on, and she was aware of the request made by Dutton Childcare, and she feels that that's it's a good idea and that doesn't affect her in any way. So we've kind of touched base with any of the groups that this could possibly affect, and they're requesting the building Monday to Friday from 6:45 a.m. till 6 p.m. for the 8 weeks for July and August. So I think that essentially we need to decide, or council needs to decide, if they wish to see that programming go forward, and certainly if there's going to be a cost associated with that moving forward.
Okay, everybody's heard the report. What's your pleasure? Bonnie?
And of course, they were wanting the pool as well. One of my questions is with regard to the hours of use at the pool. So would their use of the pool in those hours that they're wanting them interfere with or eliminate any times that the general public could use the pool, is one question. And I was thinking that, yes, since 2018, we have opted to begin charging fees to cover the cost of what staff time is involved in our facilities. So I wondered what the cost of the staff cleaning that would be involved in having that program there might be, that we would be thinking about even recovering that. So those were kind of my questions. And I couldn't remember what kind of a reduction we gave Tiny Tots. That might maybe give us some guidance as to what we would want to do in this situation.
So to answer the first question, Councillor Rowe, the letter didn't specifically ask for the use of the pool, but it did come up in our discussion with them when we met with them. They certainly didn't talk about price in that letter also, because like I said, the first 2 years that they were there, they were provided the use of the building at no charge, and they did use the pool on those 2 summers, and they were provided the use of the pool at no charge as well for the kids to go over. So they did ask about the building, and during our meeting, they asked about use of the pool, especially with COVID and the fact that we are only allowed limited numbers in the pool. They would certainly, it would have to be outside of, we wouldn't want them coming over and filling a whole public swim session. So I think that those hours that would be set aside at the pool would be strictly for the daycare program, or the day camp program. The second part to that is so Tiny Tots, Tiny Tots were in the building Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7:30 until 1:30. And the price that we had set for them was $1,000 a month. That's what Tiny Tots is being charged. That's covering hydro, water, cleaning, those types of things. So that's a 3-day-a-week program. There will be cleaning that will have to be done 5 days a week. So there will be have to be staff. Our staff will have to be at the rec center 5 days a week to do cleaning. I don't have, at this point right now, I wouldn't have an exact cost for you as far as what that would cost, but that was the number that we came up with Tiny Tots.
I would support moving this forward, looking at the numbers. Not quite sure we could do with those numbers, but everyone's always looking for daycare. We just had a discussion with our trustees and regarding daycare for the area. I know parents scramble in the summertime for daycare for their children. And as Mr. Gosnell has put in the report, it would only benefit the community. So sometimes we have to look at not just the numbers, but the benefit to the community of what we need to do for our residents and for their accommodations in the summer months when they don't have school for their children to go to. And with so many hurdles these past over a year, we've been dealing with this. They don't need another hurdle in the summertime as well. I'm not sure if we go, how does daycare change if we go to a different color on our health unit tier? Does it change at all? It stays open? I don't have young children, so.
I believe it can stay open in under red. We, the childcare is a little different. They follow guidelines from the ministry as well. So certainly Southwest Public Health still has input into this, but we've found in our dealings with Tiny Tots and early on and other those programs that the ministry requirements typically set the precedent for how they operate or how they're allowed to operate. So at this point, they're feeling confident that it may change their numbers a little bit, but they're feeling confident that they can move forward with it. They're really looking at this point right now, they need council's I guess support for using the recreation center. They have the advertisement ready to go to do the registration, but they just need to make sure that they are going to have use of the building before they put that out. So Jessica felt 3 to 4 weeks, they would have a better idea. Once they got it out, they would have a better idea of registration numbers for the program.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
So I don't think that we can offer the facilities for free because it wouldn't be fair. We've charged Tiny Tots and we think we've given them a really good deal. I would propose that we offer, well, first of all, Lee, was there any conversation with them about whether they would be able to accommodate a fee?
There was, and they are aware of the fee that Tiny Tots is being charged currently for the use of the building, for exclusive use of the building. And they do feel that there is room on their side to commit to paying a fee for the use of the building.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, through the chair, I would suggest that we charge the same fee. Yes, it is 5 days versus 3, but at the same time, we're not expecting it to be used for any other purposes. And so I think it's fair if we could charge $1,000 a month to them as well. A great opportunity for our young people, and yeah, we want to encourage it for sure.
Okay, what I'm hearing here is that it sounds like council's receptive to this proposal. I think at this point in time, given the parameters that we don't feel we can give it away for free, that we direct staff to go back and negotiate with the daycare, letting them know that our thoughts are $1,000 a month for it, and if we can come to an agreement on that, certainly Lee can bring it back to us for final review and approval. That makes sense. Magda?
I just want to remind council that with day camp, I think they're also are interested in the use of our pool. So whether the council is considering them and their $1,000 fee that you're agreeing on will include the use of the pool, I think it would be very helpful for them to determine affordability of this program.
Teresa?
Maybe we could look at some numbers of if they have this range of children, this would be the extra use for the pool. If they have this range of children, this would be the use for the pool. They won't know their numbers obviously until they put out their advertisement, which according to Mr. Gosnell's report, they have right and ready to go. So we can maybe look at that angle as well.
Well, I think that there's again, the situation is, I think you're going to have to do a bit more to go to really put a fine point on this.
We can certainly go back to them and we can talk to them and you know, depending on the numbers that they have and the amount of time that they are going to require at the pool. Certainly, you know, maybe a suggestion is not to charge the full hourly rate. Maybe we look at just recovering our costs as far as staff time, guards and whatnot. Maybe there's some compromise there.
All right. So how do you want this resolution to read? As
Staff to contact Dutton Childcare to negotiate a cost for the use of the Rodney Recreation Center and West Elgin Pool during July and August 2021. And report back to council on final prices.
Jana, if I can just jump in here, I guess, are we as staff comfortable with, can they go forward and advertise? Do we have the support at this point, or can they do that, or do they have to wait until the next council meeting?
I would suggest that staff can negotiate some sort of fair payment. We've given the parameter for the rec center. If they're agreeable with the pool covering costs of staff, then they should move forward with advertising, and you can report back what was decided.
I agree with what Bonnie said there. We can't, as council, we can't do the negotiation. We have to trust our staff to go and do that for us. So you have a comment, Richard?
No, I agree entirely.
All right, so everybody has heard that resolution. Any mover and seconder for it?
Do you need to add some sort of statement about final decision resting with staff or something like that?
You provided direction to staff to negotiate a cost for the hall and report back. So you're not requiring approval to report back. You've given them approval to negotiate. So, and you've
That
given them
covers
the
it.
parameters in which you're comfortable in. I believe we're fine. It's up to you.
Okay, so
Sounds good.
still need a
I'll move
mover and
that.
seconder for that. Moved by Rowe, seconded by Tellier. Any more discussion? All in favor? And that is carried. I seem to have lost Angela off my,
She declared conflict, so she had to disappear.
oh,
I'm
okay.
back. Hello.
Hey, you're back. Cool. All right. I guess that's it for you. Thank you, Lee. Just.
I
Yes,
have one question through the chair.
yes.
While Lee's here, I noted that the parking lot at the marina has been attended to, and it looks much better. So has there been B grade gravel put on there?
That is the B gravel that's there now,
Okay.
Bonnie. We did go down last Friday night. The night shift or the afternoon shift went down and dragged it, and it did turn out nice. So there is plans, like I said, before the marina gets busy this spring, that we will put a top coat of A gravel on that.
And the drainage ditch wasn't attended to yet? From the creek to the marina? The overflow drainage?
Oh yes, that's all in the works right now. All that works. The overflow, the fish cleaning station, is all going. That's all planned to be done before the marina opens in the middle of May.
Super, thank you. Yeah, it looks great.
Just while Lee is still here too, this is something that I was approached by the Rodney Kiwanis Club. They're requesting to have access to the old jail, the community center, and the pool to be able to put some type of Easter egg in the window that has a barcode on it, that people go on their Easter egg hunt. They take a picture of the Easter egg, and it's a high-tech Easter bunny that there are prizes for the people that get the most hits on how many Easter eggs they can find. There will be nobody in the building other than one individual to put the Easter eggs in the window. And what they're asking for is someone, if council agrees, someone to meet with them at 3:30 this afternoon at the community center in Rodney to give them access to those buildings. I don't know if council's got any concerns about that, but it sounds like a novel way to have a traditional Easter egg hunt in a high-tech world.
High tech, no touch.
Yeah. I don't see any hands up with any concerns. Lee, could you make arrangements for somebody to be at the community center at 3:30?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, I'll let them know that there'll be somebody there. Thank you. Moving on to our next item, proposal licensing of mobile food outlets.
This is just to give council an update. We've had some requests. Does council want to get involved in restricting where they are to protect bricks and mortar businesses? There has been, last year, the other issue is the zoning. Last year, there was one out at a business on the corner of Graham and Talbot, which actually isn't zoned for it. We did get some complaints at the end of the year about it, but it had more to do with the noise and parking than its zoning. And that's when we discovered it actually wasn't supposed to be in that zone, but it was charity. We kind of left it alone, but we may have to do something about it this year if there's more intentions of putting things out there, to be fair. So this is just, questions have been raised from at least 3 different food trucks from outside of the municipality, not ones inside the municipality. So it's council's choice. Do they want to do something? Do they just want to leave it? Do we want to be prepared ahead of time? Sir, you're muted.
Yeah, what's your pleasure? What's everybody's thoughts are?
Bonnie's got her hand up, sir.
Bonnie? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Bonnie.
a couple of questions. I mean, obviously, we are already currently allow food trucks within the villages. Is that correct?
Just in the downtown core,
Okay.
which kind of concerns me a little for the bricks and mortar restaurants and businesses. Basically, the way it's written in the zoning bylaw, they could park it on the street in front of a restaurant if they felt like it.
Yeah, so there is no restriction on where.
Yeah.
So we probably need to have a little bit more detail than that. I would say that if we have allowances for food trucks in the villages, it makes sense that the small hamlets have the same opportunities. Parking was an issue that I was trying to come to terms with because, any business can have a lot of parking in the area and it may or may not be safe. So whether we need to consider regulations around safe parking and so on, I'm not sure what other municipalities have done. In terms of,
Sorry, I'll
Go
tell you
ahead.
quickly. Other municipalities actually reached out to us to see if we had anything. And this was prepped in 2018 originally, and I just updated it. When I first got here, it was one of the first things someone had me look into. So I know Southwold and Dutton Dunwich are considering basically the same thing because they, like us, have had a lot of requests and they're not sure what they want to do. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree that, they are a tourist attraction. They are a good opportunity for our citizens to have a variety of foods available. Yes, they are a competition, but competitive business is not a bad thing. So that, given the 150 meters, I didn't pace that out to see how far that would be, but perhaps that's a distance that's used in other municipalities, is it, in terms of away from other?
Actually,
bricks and
most
mortar?
use 300 meters. When we measured it out, 150 meters gave everybody a fair shot and would have allowed it to stay out on Highway 3 where it was. Anything more than 150 meters, the food truck that was used last year at Natter Jack's would not be able to be there. There is a restaurant closer. So not that we were trying to fit just one, but it was precedented there last year. So yeah. Sir, both Councillor Cameron and Talia have their hands raised.
Okay, well, we'll start with Angela this time.
So my concern is affecting the food trucks that currently give back to our community, as well as the bricks and mortar businesses that give back to our community as well. Because these food trucks that will roll into our community will collect their money and take their money with them. So they're not going to give it back to our community like the bricks and mortar do. And the two food trucks that are in our community that are not for profits that turn around and give all their revenue back to the community. So I didn't realize that we allowed food trucks in the core, and I have concerns with affecting already struggling restaurants due to COVID. My other concern is allowing food trucks near the establishment out on Talbot. Are we causing or potentially risking causing people to stay longer and drink and drive by allowing them? Because when you allow a food truck to be there, oh, I'm going to stay longer, I'm going to have a couple more drinks, I'm going to have a little more food. And I wonder what liability we're putting ourselves at risk by doing that.
The liability for that isn't ours, it's theirs. They are responsible under the Liquor Control Act, all of that, to prevent drinking and driving. The idea about the cost for the ones that are already here, the council can choose to waive any fee at any point in time, any licensing fee anytime. So that would be council's discretion. If you didn't want to charge, say the Optimists, I'm just picking one because it's one I know, a food truck, because it does give back to charity. It's completely understandable that you could waive any fee for that, but
I believe there are two not-for-profit trucks in our community.
So Councillor Talia has her hand up still, sir.
Press.
Through the chair, if we were to have a festival or something in our area off of the Miller Park and not on the fairgrounds in Rodney, but say in the streets, or maybe there was a car show or something, I'm just pulling stuff out of the air, but do we have anything around food trucks being part of that within the core?
So in the proposed licensing bylaw, it does say in municipally approved events, like, so an event like that would get permission from the municipality to use our streets. We do not get involved in food trucks. At that point, it is the vendors, like the person running the festival, their choice who they have. The thought was the idea of any sort of street festival, any sort of festival like the fair, Canada Day, all of that, you wouldn't be involved. This is just for people who literally want to come and park for the summer, which is what the requests have been for specific, people are like, oh, well, I'll tell you right now, the three people I heard of all knew about what happened at Natter Jack's last summer, and they were going to be approaching or did actually own property on Graham Road and wanted to plop food trucks on there. So it drags business out of our downtown too, but it is a tourism area. So this was just hey, this is an idea if you guys want to protect businesses. But with three and four calls, it was kind of something I thought you guys might want to, if we can get ahead of an issue, or if you think it's not even worth getting into until we know what's going on.
Okay, any other hands up here? So these people on Talbot that just want to open up a French fry wagon out in the front yard?
So basically, somebody who bought has bought or is looking to buy a property on Graham Road. I mean, they at least are taxpayers. And a couple other people were interested in basically putting their food truck at Natterjack's for the summer. So my understanding, I'm not positive, but my understanding is that there may be the proprietor of that building may be looking to bring different ones, different weekends, things like that. So they were inquiring what our regulations were, because a lot of municipalities have been putting restrictions. So you don't end up with a food truck in front of a restaurant and taking away from the buildings, bricks and mortar buildings that actually pay taxes. And my other concern partly too was the food booth out at the Port Glasgow trailer park without us permitting it, or at the marina. You don't want to, it would be nothing for somebody to put a food truck out in the parking lot of the marina out by the beach, right? That would be a great location, but that would really hurt the marina's food booth, and that's a private property, but they could be, that's why I restricted it to public property. These were the thoughts I had. It's council's wish. We can leave it alone if you don't want to get involved, but we will have to notify. The zoning is the other issue. So there's two parts to this. Do you want to change the possibility of asking staff to change the zoning to allow it in more than just the downtown area? And if you do you want to start licensing them and restricting their locations? So there has been consultation with the health unit and everything in this too.
So I guess the first question is, does council feel the necessity of formulating a bylaw?
Restricting its locations?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that? Dressa, you had your hand up.
I think restricting the locations is a good idea. I think we should expand it to the hamlets. It doesn't say hamlets in here, does it? Just
No, but
reading it
that's,
again.
yeah, commercial 2 zone.
It says which would permit these in Clackamas. Okay, I'm just rereading it. Yeah, I think we should have in the I think we should open up. Is there any way to have it that's case by case basis?
So zoning has to be changed for the whole area. Licensing is what gives us the case by case basis, unless you want to specifically rezone only individual properties, which then that property owner has to apply and costs money. If we do a housekeeping to permit it, a general housekeeping, which covers anybody in the C2 zone, then it costs no one money except for staff time, and away we go.
Yeah, I don't want to cost anybody money if they want to have
a food truck. Yeah.
A food truck on the Canada Day weekend, as long as they're following, as you already said, the health protocols and everything that they already need to have. So that's where my thoughts should just expand it a bit, but not at a cost to any of the businesses that we're looking at having one for special occasions.
You want to waive any sort of licensing fee? Because right now we're proposing the fee of $100, which would cover, staff time, things like that, and inspections. You want to have no fee attached to it, just the restrictions?
No, I wanted to have the fee attached to it.
Bonnie, you had a question?
Yeah, I forget what it is now. I agree that we need to have our bylaw a little bit clearer and a little bit fairer. So in that respect, I think we need to allow it to open up into C2 zones. And I think they need to be licensed, because there is time that will go into inspecting them and, following up if they're not following the regulations. So I agree with licensing. And I think 150 meters is a fair distance from other bricks and mortar restaurants. Myself, we're a small village, so it's a little bit different than the city.
And I agree, 150 seemed reasonable to me when you consider, we just marked it from different restaurants in the areas where we would, how far away you get. And you'd be quite a ways away from any bricks and mortar restaurant at 150. So.
And as far as on municipal property, so that would eliminate this idea that currently sits that a food truck can park on the side of the street here. Is that correct?
Correct. It can't be on municipal, on any public highway or municipal roadway without permission, right? And it can't sit in Miller Park, for instance, on a Sunday afternoon. Nobody could just go and plop something in Miller Park,
Right.
Nor could they just plop a food truck at the beach. Council can always grant exceptions to this. So say somebody wants to put one down there, or say we don't get somebody to operate the Port Glasgow Trailer Park booth and a food truck wants to go in for a weekend, they can write to council. You can provide them a weekend exemption and away you go.
Yeah, I was thinking of that myself, that we're having trouble finding someone to provide consistent food service at the trailer park, but maybe on long weekends or something, that might be a nice offer if we can.
Yeah, so as owners of that property, we can provide an exemption.
Mhm.
Okay, Jan, how does this work? Can we put restrictions on municipal property that it's not ours?
We can only put, so we can put, what do you mean, like municipal property? If it's municipal property, it's ours.
I'm
You mean
talking
other
county
people's
road.
property? On the county road allowance?
Yeah,
I would like to check with Brian, but I'm assuming he does not want them on his road allowance anyway, and he would.
yeah. Well, I mean, if we go through this and we don't have jurisdiction on county, that's
Yeah.
the main thoroughfares where nobody's gonna put one out on my road.
No, and I didn't go too far into that with the county solicitor and all of that, because I thought, if you guys don't want to do it, how much work did you want me to do ahead of time?
That's
Right.
right.
So yeah, that is definitely something I wanted to look into. Like you said, that's Graham, and that's, we've already allowed it basically on Graham Road. And I would have assumed that was part of our comprehensive zoning bylaw in 2015 that allowed that. So I assumed at that point they were okay with it, but yes, I wanted to double check that. That is one of my things.
Well, I think the answer to your first question, I'm getting consensus that council feels that there's merit in doing a bylaw. I think that's kind of been demonstrated. Now it's just a matter of kind of fine tuning it, and that's one of the things that it's possible that the county is going to have something on their books that supports our bylaw. So you'll have to have those discussions. I think it's are you prepared to? It's not on our list of bylaws today, is it?
No, oh gosh, no. This was just, that bylaw was written just so you guys had an idea of the restrictions that we were looking for. It is by no means completely ready to go.
I think the other thing that in your conversations with your colleagues in Dunwich and Southwold, it would be nice to have a consistent bylaw across the 3 municipalities.
And that was the idea. And that's why we all talked about it. Now, since Lisa's, this is like, it all just kind of came up the beginning of March-ish. So I know Heather did kind of like the idea of a bigger distance of the 300 versus the 150. And I haven't heard in Southwold since Lisa's been back, she just came back and there was a lot of stuff to do. So she hasn't fully got into that yet.
I think that we've had, Bonnie?
Oh, and Richard and Angela both had their hands up too, so I don't want to cut in on them.
Okay, who wants to go first? Richard?
Okay, I think we should start at the county first, see what they say about their roads. And then, I think what you have to bear in mind is that these food trucks, they come here when the visitors and people are out and about. They take a good profit and with them when they go, and they leave us stranded in the winter. So you can hurt our local businesses. At the end of the day, when they've all gone, the people aren't out and about in the winter the same, using our local businesses. So I think you've really got to think pretty hard about where they go and what business they're taking off other people.
Yeah, but that's what we tried to do. So yeah.
Angela?
I just have a quick question, because obviously we're going to make our bylaw enforcement officer respond to complaints about this. Is the $100 fee, and you don't need to answer me right now, but I would ask staff to put some thought into this, going to cover or potentially cover between the staff time to implement all the necessary inspections and the bylaw enforcement time related to this proposed $100 fee? Or maybe we might want to reconsider that fee. Because I can.
You don't want to make the fee cost prohibitive, that they don't come.
Understand that. I'm just curious to know what other municipalities are doing, because I can hear my phone ringing now about garbage complaints. I don't know, that's just one that's rolling through my head off the top of my head. I'm sure there'll be other ones. Parking, traffic, just, you know, and it'll never fail. It'll be a long weekend, and it'll be, you know, a Sunday at 9:30 in the morning. So just stuff like that. I'm not saying that I'm not for allowing, you know, a different type of cuisine in our community. I'm all for adding culturalism. I just don't want to all of a sudden now have our poor bylaw officer run off his feet, and we're not recouping some of that cost for it. So.
Oh,
So you're
we lost-
muted. Bonnie, do you want to just go ahead while he's
Yeah.
playing?
Through the chair, I'm sure he's okay with that. Yeah, my comments were very similar to Angela's. I guess just to crystallize it in my mind, we're talking about two different locations. We're talking about food trucks that might want to take up position on municipal or county property. And then we're talking about food trucks on private property. Is that correct?
Correct. So right now we're saying they can't be on municipal property or sides of the roads. We're saying no to that, and only can be on private property, and they have to apply for a license on private property. The only way they get to be on municipal property is if, for instance, I'm just going to pick this out of the hat. The Optimists decide they're going to throw a celebration in Miller Park, and they want to bring in some multiple food trucks. They've booked Miller Park for that weekend, right? They've signed a contract with us, everything. If they want to bring in food trucks, we're not licensing that. We're not having anything to do with that. That is their responsibility and their choice as to whether or not they allow them.
Okay.
That's, I didn't want to get involved in what festivals want to do and things like that. That's not our, I'm trying to protect people that set up shop for months at a time.
Yeah.
And to make sure that they can follow some rules and they are inspected.
And that was the other thing that I was thinking of in terms of the licensing fees. If a food truck is going to be a weekend in a spot and then come back a month later for a weekend, is that two different licenses or?
A full year. So I assume the way I look at it, you get a 1-year license. And if you leave and come back in that year, that's fine, but it's from this date to this date.
And it could be continuous for that whole year or?
Yes, I would give it, yeah. I would say if you get it June 1st in 2021, you would need to renew it by June 1st in 2022. I wouldn't necessarily make it a calendar year, but that's up to you. We can, like, that all can be set out as your choice.
Seems like such a variety of fees for, you know, a place that might set up for a whole summer versus somebody that wants to come for a weekend for a special event.
So we can break out fees like that. And if you want, and I mean, we wouldn't charge a fee for anybody who's coming for a weekend festival. If you only want to come for a weekend, yeah, we could set up a different fee if you wanted to. We could have a different fee structure. I can look into different fee structures for, say, a 2-day permit versus a 1-year permit. I thought for simplification, it's a flat fee for one license and you get to be here for a year, but I can look into different options and bring that back.
Yeah, I think it might be two levels of headache, really. If somebody's here for a weekend at a business, the Victoria Day weekend, let's say, and then they're not planning to come back for the rest of the year versus staying there permanently for a whole summer.
Most of the inquiries we had were people who planned on setting up for the entire summer. So that's where I went with.
Angela?
So if the food truck wants to set up for the entire summer, then at that point, what they do with their trash, then that has to go to our dump, or they're responsible for purchasing a commercial dumpster.
That would be with them and the owner of the property. So the property owner that they're on, they have to create their own trash system at that point. If they take it to our dump, they'd have to pay for it, pay to have it removed. Otherwise, it becomes part of that property's, pickup, right? So say, for instance, say there's one that parks, I don't know, I'm trying to think of up on Main Street on the corner, where say the Fordham lot. And that would be between the owner of that lot, Fordham's, and the, like I just picked a random lot, but the owner of that lot and the person, he has to give him permission to be there, and they have to maintain property standards, or, that's part of it. They have to follow. So if they don't dispose of their garbage, that's a problem, right? That way. So the owner would still, that owner of that property gets 3-bag collection if they're residential. I don't know if that one does, but it was just kind of an idea, right? Otherwise, yeah, they would have to take their own garbage to the landfill and pay for it.
Okay. Well, as I look at this resolution here that's in front of us, the operative clause is what West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to do. Can we fill that blank in with what I'm kind of seeing here, that council wishes staff to continue to develop a policy or a bylaw regarding mobile food trucks, and bring that back to us for, of
Sure.
course, our final approval?
As well as, do you want us, so because of the zone, the reason I brought this forward now before I had all the other parts really done, it's the zoning. Zoning takes time. Do you wish me to have the planner move forward with a housekeeping amendment for the zoning bylaw? That's the big one, to bring forward a housekeeping amendment for the zoning bylaw. That's to provide notice.
Yes, Bonnie?
Yes, sorry, through the chair, I had a question about that. So you mentioned that it triggers a public process. And does that
Correct.
public process include public input into the purpose of the bylaw change?
It does on the zoning, not necessarily on the mobile food truck. However, you can at any point in time ask us to hold a public meeting like I did, what we did for the Retail Brewery Act, like Retail Holidays Act, put out notice that we're considering licensing food trucks and ask for a public comment.
Mhm. It's a bit of a contentious issue. It's got its pros and cons. It might be worthwhile having a public meeting just to receive that feedback and consider it.
And people don't have to do it in person. They can write in or whatever. We can produce a public meeting on that. So you want us to bring forward to move forward with housekeeping zoning amendment and a public meeting on possibly licensing food trucks.
Maybe it could be done at the same time.
It would make the most sense. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the final?
So that West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to develop mobile food outlet or food truck proposals and bring forward a housekeeping bylaw to amend the zoning, housekeeping amendment to the zoning bylaw, and host a public meeting on possibly licensing of food trucks.
Okay.
You're just providing direction. Yeah.
Pretty clear. We have a mover and seconder for that direction. Moved by Talia, seconded by Rowe. Any more discussion? All in favor of that? And that has been carried. Okay, thank you. Magda, hiring procedure policy update. Where are you, Magda?
I am right here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So basically, this is just the housekeeping item. Just notice that basically we're removing part-time policy and putting it under one policy with full-time, seasonal, and part-time employees. There's not too many changes. We're just combining all the policies together. As we have developed new form So the communication is flowing through the right channels and the appropriate approval process is established for staff, and so the staff can follow it.
Okay, pretty straightforward stuff here. Bonnie?
Through the chair, I just wanted to ask what the usual practice is with deciding on whether an internal posting is adequate or whether an external posting is required, and whether there should be some wording in there about how those decisions are made.
So it depends on the position title. Most hourly positions are posted internally first, and then posted internally if internal posting is not successful. Basically,
I didn't know whether it was a point of contention or in terms of posting externally when someone feels internally that they might have qualified. So is there a reason to make it a little clearer right from the start? In terms of wording of potential candidates, or yeah, I don't know. It can be a bit of a tough thing for some employees.
so this is the suggestion to include, basically be more specific that the position will post it internally first. Is that what you're asking, Council Rowe?
Just not necessarily always. I mean, obviously, you're not going to post internally if you're looking for a CAO or a treasurer or something like that. So if you can just have some general wording as to when an internal posting is done and when an external posting is the first route.
Okay, we can certainly add that to our policy.
It just some general comments, just to be able to say that we consider everyone's abilities or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's just my thoughts.
Yep, I will.
But
yeah, and we'll
at
bring that policy back at the next council meeting.
Right.
So
Sure.
yeah, that's fine. We won't pass that bylaw then.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit more work on it.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody happy just to defer this till a later date? Do you need any direction for that, Jana?
No, that works as long as you guys are fine with deferring. Staff direction is to
Yeah.
defer.
Okay, I'm seeing that consensus out there, so we'll consider this matter tabled for now. Okay, next item on our agenda, committee and board reports, West Elgin Community Center Board of Management, the minutes. Any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, we have Four Counties Transit Committee minutes. Any questions on that? Bonnie?
I'll just comment that we met since these finalized minutes on March 15th. And we received notification of the Safe Restart Phase 2 and Phase 3 funding, Phase 2 being $30,000 and Phase 3 just over $3,000 dependent on expenses incurred. And then we talked about the difficulty that we've had hiring a part-time driver with the proper qualifications. Our current driver has resigned, and so we essentially, I think, beginning this week was the backup driver is able to cover a shortened day for the bus. So that has impacted the hours of the day program, which has resumed. So obviously we are looking at, trying to hire a driver that is able to provide the usual hours to the day program. And we also looked at or had a discussion about whether having a van type bus rather than the bus that we have would make it easier to recruit, because the type of licensing required for a van is less than the bus type vehicle that we have. So we are going to have a tour of the West Elgin Community Health Center van, just to see what space that allows. Obviously, we are replacing our bus, but not this year, next year. So that may be a way to help with recruitment. But that is a challenge, and staff are working on trying to recruit a new driver part-time.
Okay, any questions for Bonnie on that? Angela?
Okay, Bonnie or Councilor Rowe, can you fill me in on what the day program hours might be? I know quite a few bus drivers. I may be able to push a few people. If you could give me a little bit of background.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue, in that the regular bus drivers, which are our casual bus driver is a regular bus driver in the regular hours. And so what she does is attends to the day program after she completes her morning run, but that leaves it late. I believe the day program starts at 9 and finishes at 2:30. So it really is very difficult to use another school bus driver, and still keep within those hours. The other thing that we looked at is larger transit programs use a contract. So they contract out that bus driving, and then the headache of providing that driver belongs to the contractee. So that is something that larger transit programs use. But of course, our program is unique in that the driver actually is the dispatcher, if you would, as well. He takes the calls, he or she takes the calls and plans the schedule. So it's one of those difficulties when you're a smaller organization. Magda, do you have any other points to add to that?
They have to have a B endorsement. Do they need a Z endorsement that goes with that, or just the B? I know somebody else that has a coach class endorsement that isn't working right now because coach buses aren't currently running. I'll speak with them if they might be interested in helping you out temporarily. I'll ask them to maybe get in touch with Magda.
Diana, I thought that there was several licenses that were required in that advertisement.
There's no air equipped on our 4 counties bus, so a Z would not be required.
We listed a bunch of the licenses just because if you have a B or a C, you're good. Like anything, a B is the minimum. Any of the other licenses it confused people when we only listed B the first time. So that's why we did it.
B, C, Z, D. No, D probably wouldn't work.
D wouldn't do it. No, you have to have a B, C, or an F, I think it is, or something.
Okay.
A Z endorsement is not required on that bus.
No Z endorsement. That's the air brakes. It's not required.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Angela.
I will reach out to a couple people I know that may or may not work. I will try.
Super.
Okay, any other questions on the transit? Heritage Homes. Terrace. Lost her.
No, I'm still here. Through the chair, we had a Heritage Homes meeting. That the minutes I provided you from November 23rd. We had one this past Monday on the 22nd, and things are going well. Yeah, nothing really to report. Everything's in the minutes. They do have a boiler that needs to be replaced. Penny's Plumbing looked into it, and it's already obsolete, so they're having to get a whole new one. So that will be hopefully done this week or next. And yeah, not a lot going on, just whatever's in the minutes there. They're looking for their garbage, so that's being tidied up and initiated here right now. Looking to have cancel their contract with Waste Connections and to move with us, but there's just details to work out.
Any questions for Teresa or on Heritage Homes? Okay, seeing none. Next item up is accounts. Recommendation that the mayor and treasurer are hereby authorized to sign payment voucher number 3A amounting to $290,109.68 in settlement of general road, water, and arena accounts. Do I have a mover and seconder for that recommendation? Moved by Rose, seconded by Tellier. Has everybody had all their questions answered, or do they have any additional questions before I call the vote? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. And of course, Magna, we do have the money, right? All right.
Can we take
Okay.
a break by chance? Any
That's
chance
just,
we could have a quick break?
I was just going to ask everyone, is it time to have a little break? So we'll see you back in 5
Thank you.
or 10, whatever.
To you whether you want to move forward.
What did you say, Jenna?
That everyone's back.
Oh, okay. With that, I believe we're at council's inquiries and announcement. Do we have any notice of motion? Seeing none, do we have statements and inquiries by any of the councilors? Yeah, Bonnie?
Hi again. Through the chair, I wanted to raise an issue that has been expressed by several of my constituents recently, and it's about explosions. And they're very loud near their homes and have occurred a number of times over the past months. Some much louder than others, having a negative impact on residents and, rattling windows and frightening some people. The OPP have attended these at least once and possibly more than that. So my question, I guess, around this issue, given that the explosions are likely recreational in nature and they're probably using tannerite, which is a legal product in Ontario and is sold locally. I wondered if our noise bylaw is being broken in this instance. Our noise bylaw talks about, non-construction explosives are not allowed. So there is some wording in the bylaw, and I just wondered, first of all, whether anyone else has had those complaints, and secondly, whether staff might have some suggestions as to how we could address this issue that is really impacting people's enjoyment of their properties.
Richard?
Yeah, yeah, through the chair. Bonnie, I would just like to know what they would be using that product for.
From my understanding, and I did have a conversation with the business that sells this product, and it's purely recreational. It's just to make a big bang.
Oh dear. Okay, thank you.
Sir, Councillor Cameron has her hand up.
Okay, Angela.
Through the chair, I had also some resident complaints about the big bang explosions that were happening. And I alerted Councillor Rowe. I wondered the same thing about what our noise bylaw limitations were or couldn't do. I know we allow fireworks. I'm not exactly sure what you do with tannerite or why they would be the accusation shooting at it in the middle of the day.
It's to clarify through the chair, from my understanding, it is a very stable explosive that can't be accidentally set off by dropping it like the old TNT and things like that. But it takes a high-powered rifle of some sort to ignite it, and so therefore the person needs to have a gun license is the only requirement. And my understanding is that the gun license was in place at this particular situation, but apparently our local business does sell a lot of this product. So probably this isn't just the only location where it's happening. And I'm just interested in whether it's happening across our whole municipality and whether it's a problem for people or not.
Any other comments? I know that it's been, let's call it, played with in other areas of the municipalities over the years, but not in, I would say, in any regular sequence like it's currently happening down along the lakeshore.
Sir Meg has done a fair amount of research and has something to say.
What was that?
Magda has done a bunch of the research, and I believe she's got her hand up and has something.
Okay, Magda.
So, Mr.
You on
Mayor,
my-
I have received concerns from the public. So basically, based on what I could find on the internet, so this tannerite is a binary explosive, and it's a combination of ammonium nitrate mixed with aluminum powder. It's regulated. Basically, anybody with possessing a gun license or fireworks permit is able to purchase that kind of stuff. When it's in unmixed form, it's basically safe and it's not considered explosive. But at the same time, when mixed together with aluminum powder, it's a reactive target. That's how they describe it on the internet. So looking at our bylaw, there is some restrictions, but it's not quite clear. So for instance, there is a prohibition in our bylaw to discharge of firearms in zone 1, 2, and 3 at all times, but in zone 4 between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. So basically zone 4 is it's described as zone 4 means those parts of the municipality not within zones 1, 2, and 3. So looking at zone 2, it's zone 2 consists of lakeshore residential zone less than 5 acres. So let's say if somebody owns more than 5 acres, based on current bylaw, they're allowed to shoot guns, but it doesn't really, nothing in our bylaw covers the neighborhood section. So let's say if somebody who owns 50 acres and their next thing, and the distance between their next door neighbor is less than few feet, are they still allowed to do that kind of stuff? So like, I think we have to review this bylaw and perhaps reach out to other municipalities to see if they have any anything listed in their bylaw for firearms and explosives. When it comes to, I don't think since OPP attended these properties, I think there's nothing the residents are doing wrong. They didn't, they must be possessing a valid gun license. And in the entire paperwork, it's just the noise that it's creating. We have to do more research on it to see if we even have any options in terms of that. So I would recommend that we reach out to other municipalities in Elgin County and surrounding areas to see what their, to request their bylaws, review their bylaws, and then bring this back to the next council meeting.
I think Meg is right, to be honest with you. Our noise bylaw was written in 2004. It's now 2021. Time for an update.
Bonnie?
And I think through the chair to just further the discussion, I think that it's not really an issue of using guns. Most people who live in a rural area are quite familiar that farmers and hunters use guns. They do target practice to prepare for hunt. People are quite happy with that. They can live with that. It's just these very large explosions. And, to be perfectly frank, my husband and I have heard these explosions 10 kilometers away. So it is excessive. And, if there's a way for us to update our noise bylaw to, and I don't expect us to put a lot of expense into buying noise measurement apparatus. I mean, it would be impossible to try to be there when an explosion happens. But if there's a way to give some guidance, it's unfortunate that some people, their behavior requires some sort of guidance. They don't seem to have common sense when it comes to being a good neighbor. But yeah, I guess a review of our noise bylaw is probably in order, and I would really be interested in whether other municipalities have addressed this particular issue in their regions. So
it could come down to something as simple as defining explosive device a bit better, because explosive devices are banned at all times in all zones. So you could be specific to something as simple as just defining explosive device and including tannerite in there. However, that could affect a business in the municipality, right? Their sales. So that's it could come down to that, but you're right. A good review is that. Personally, 2004, that is 17 years. More than that, actually. It's a long time from our bylaws. 17 years. It's a long time for one noise bylaw. Lots of things have changed. It's probably not a bad idea.
Okay. Yep. Well, out of that, it sounds, Bonnie, that staff are going to look into this situation. And is it council's intention that we direct our clerk to begin a review of our 2004 noise bylaw? Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, that's good with staff direction with that, Jana, that you go ahead and do that? Okay. Any other statements from councilors? Seeing none, matters of urgency. Guess we took care of that a little while ago.
I do have actually one. So we're getting into April. We had originally decided until the end of April we wanted to stay virtual. What is currently in the restrictions, if we were to meet together, we would have to be separated. But if we allow the public in, if we meet in person, everybody has to be masked regardless of how far apart we are. If you guys want to return to meeting in person, we can, as long as we don't have a lot of, there has to be some staff attend virtually. We can meet in person at, say, the West Lorne complex, and as long as we're able to broadcast. So I need some guidance because it might take me a bit of time to get to purchase the equipment and get that ready. Do you want us to start moving forward with that, or are we more comfortable staying this way? I think regardless, the best we're gonna get is some sort of a hybrid version. Do you physically want to be together is the question, or do we just keep going as we're going for now?
What's your pleasure, everyone? Bonnie?
Yeah, through the chair, personally, I would like a hybrid version. I do believe that, meeting in person is preferable. However, I do believe that allowing citizens to attend virtually and some staff as well to decrease the numbers. But, I think that we've had good attendance from citizens, better than usual with the virtual opportunity. And so I think that we need to continue that probably on into the future. And so if... Our
YouTube and reviews of our videos have gotten a lot, like I'm averaging 30 views after our meeting. So
Super.
That's
great.
A lot of people, right?
Mhm.
I think, in all honesty, the virtual component of West Elgin Council is here to stay. And whatever measures we need to do to make that more of a permanent solution, we might as well get started with it now. Is wait for another day.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was no point in spending money, and moving forward if you decided nobody wanted to leave their house again. So, okay, we'll move forward with getting someone out.
Okay.
And just my question with regard to the money, there are still some funds in the providing efficiency of services.
You guys had allocated money in the budget for it out of that grant.
Okay.
So the money's there. I hadn't spent it because why spend money until we needed to, right?
Gotcha.
So I will move forward to getting that. Someone out, they have to measure the room and do some stuff in order to get decent
Do
equipment.
you need any formal direction or staff direction? Fine.
Staff direction works for me.
Okay. Anything else under matters of urgency? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Elgin County, March 9th, council highlights. Anybody got any questions regarding council highlights? Seeing none. Ministry of Infrastructure extended timelines for asset management. I think it's a double-edged sword, is it not, Magda?
Yes, it is, Mr. Mayor, because even though the clock stopped for Ontario regulation, for us, in order to take advantage of our grant, FCM grant for asset management, and receive the full money, we have 12 months to complete it. And the time started on September 9th of 2020. So we have to have mature asset management maturity assessment, asset management and capital planning software modules and condition assessment and data collection protocols. And all staff has to be trained in order by September 9th of 2021 in order to receive the money.
So here it is, typical one hand of the government say, we understand because of COVID and all of the other restrictions, you do need more time to complete this task. And the other side of the government says, oh, no. If you don't get it done in the appropriate time, you don't get the money. So is this a situation that we should be writing a letter pointing this inaccuracy or whatever you want to call it out to certainly Jeff Urick and anybody that is involved with this to have a reasonable look at tying the two components together in the same direction?
Actually, not quite yet, Mr. Mayor. There is communication between us and FCM. About a month ago, they followed up with us. Basically, they want to know whether we are sticking to the plan, and they were asking us if we needed an extension. At that time, knowing that the Ontario regulation was not extended, basically, I answered that there's no extension required as we have to meet the July 1st deadline. So we will complete asset management on time. Now things are a little bit different. So I suggest that I reach out to FCM, basically indicate that, refer to Ontario regulation extension and ask for an extension for the grant as well. And then if I don't get positive results, then maybe it's going to be time to reach out and go through Jeff Urick's office.
And Becky, FCM's federal, is it not?
Yes.
So we'd have to reach out to Karen. Everybody satisfied with that? As we'll let Magda see what magic she can work, and if she needs further assistance, she'll come back to us.
Yep.
Okay, next item up, Ontario Recreation Facilities Association. Open letter to ORFA members. Any action required on that? Bonnie?
Just through the chair, I wanted to clarify, are we members of this organization? It wasn't clear in the letter.
Yeah. Yes, Councillor Rowe, we are
Okay.
members.
Great. Thank you.
No action required on the letter?
Nope.
Seeing no hands going up, Niagara Region Resolution on Homelessness, Mental Health, and Addiction. Any comments? Seeing none. Turn my page here. Carbon tax on agriculture. Anybody have anything?
Councillor Rowe has her hand up.
Who's that?
Councillor Cameron has her hand up.
Okay, oh, she's lost off my screen, so go ahead, Angela.
I would like to support this letter.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham. Any more discussion on that? All in favor? That is carried.
Carried.
Next item up is Township of South Glengarry resolution on province of vaccine rollout. The province is going to do what they're going to do, I guess.
Yep.
Mhm.
Any action on that? Seeing none, we'll move on to citizens of West Elgin letter regarding the pool. Any action you want to take on that? Bonnie?
I just wanted to comment that it was wonderful to get such a passionate letter from citizens, and there were some really great ideas there. You know, I picked out a couple of group family lessons on the weekend and is one, and fundraisers and drown proofing lessons, all good things that, you know, may or may not have already been discussed by staff. But, you know, some of their suggestions we've already responded to in terms of the being open part-time and increasing advertising with our electronic signs. I wondered whether we might explore whether some of these people might be interested in sitting on the Recreation Committee, because they seem to be quite passionate and have some good suggestions. Wasn't sure where that committee was in terms of members.
We are currently recruiting 2 members. I have had a number of applications, so that will, I can't say whether any of those are or not, but I also just want to clarify, municipal facilities cannot benefit from a lottery. So one of their suggestions is a 50-50. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to.
Okay.
They have to be paid for by taxes.
Well, I think that this whole thing is going to change and mutate and mold around depending on how COVID and the restrictions that are put on us. I have heard that Dutton Dunwich, I don't believe, has any intention of opening their pool at all this year.
No, they've issued an announcement that their pool will not be open.
Right. No, I'm not sure what's happening in Southwest Middlesex.
They are opening. They have no idea what hours. They have not figured that out
Right.
yet. They're still trying to find lifeguards.
So I mean, this thing is so much in flux that we'll just have to try to beg these people's patience to let us find our way along here in the dark. And
Would you like me to issue a response letter to them, or?
There's a tremendous amount of information in there to respond to.
I know.
Certainly, is it reasonable that we send an acknowledgement and thanking them for the letter?
Yep.
I think it would be reasonable, and I think we want to thank them for their numerous suggestions and feedback, and certainly I would like to let them know that the Recreation Committee is open for members to volunteer, or at least to be, I'm not sure the terminology, but be nominated or whatever, open for interest, and welcome them to consider that.
Councillor Cameron has her hand up, sir, as does Deputy Mayor Clayton.
I think that they have some great ideas. I wish, however, they would have come forward during budget deliberations and brought some of these concerns forward when we were looking for feedback regarding the pool. I was very vocal to the community asking for feedback about the pool, and at that particular time, I didn't receive any feedback from them regarding this. So, as you said, that it is changing situations, and we don't know, and the letter doesn't really, they're not taking into consideration the fact that there aren't trained lifeguards. Now, I do see that there is life-saving courses being offered by different people right now, so maybe we will get some more trained staff come forward, and we can start offering some more. But at this point, we've made the budget decisions that we've made, and I'm not in favor of opening the 2020 budget to open the pool for more hours. So unless we can find magic money from somewhere, I thank them for their support, and I would encourage them to apply for the rec committee too. But again, that comes with money and staffing implications, and we always have to consider that with the rec committee. And Mr. Gosnell is always quick to remind us of that on the rec committee, because we come up with lots of wonderful ideas, and he's quick to remind us of the financial implications of lots of them as well. So,
Richard?
Yeah, I think it's just straightforward, and thank them very much for their informative letter. And that staff is doing the best they can for the pool under the circumstances with COVID. And let's hope it clears up soon.
So just to clarify, this is what I have right now. To staff send a letter acknowledging the letter, thank them for their suggestions and feedback, to inform them of that the rec committee is recruiting 2 new members, and basically that's it. Is there any other? information you want included, or that council had to take costing considerations in? I don't know if there's anything else, or just kind of leave it at that, very vague, and move on.
Well, I think that, I don't think we really need to reinforce the fact that we're under very unusual circumstances.
That's
And-
correct.
And that, keeping the line of communication open is important to us, and certainly, let's keep that communication going. Well, you can tidy that up as
Yeah.
finesse it up. So Bonnie,
Just one final comment. I think that it would be worthwhile to let them know that we will consider all of their suggestions and within the constraints of our current budget, so that they know that we aren't planning to do any changes to that. But there may be some of those changes that perhaps the recreation staff can look at that letter and see if there's anything that they can do within the current parameters of the budget for the pool, and see what comes of those suggestions.
Okay. So council will consider all suggestions as they fit within the approved 2021 budget.
Correct. I think that's fair.
yep. Okay, next item is Sandy Ridge Livestock request for waiver of penalties on taxes. What's your pleasure here? Yes.
Me again. I was wondering how many late payment charges that we would normally initiate in a year. Like, is this an electronic system process where it's just automatically generated? And my understanding was that we waived fees last year. So this would have been last year's taxes that this fellow is referring to, since we haven't, our deadline for this quarter hasn't come. So how is it that this occurred?
We waived them until the end of end of August, or no?
Mr. Mayor, I can answer that. So last year, due to COVID, council decided to waive penalty and interest between April and September. So that, to put it in financial way, it cost us $18,783 in lost revenue. As of October 1st, we started charging interest on past due accounts. And then in September alone, September was, we still waived the fees. In October was the first month where we started charging penalty and interest, and so we started generating revenue again, and basically it was $6,600. In November it was $5,000. So basically everybody else is paying interest on unpaid balance. If council decides to waive interest to this property owner, it will cost council at the same time $5,000, as if we're doing for one individual, we have to do it for all. So it's council's decision.
What's your pleasure? Bonnie?
One for
We
all.
can't do for one
No,
without
you
doing
can't.
for all, and I don't think we can give up this amount of income, based on one concern.
Richard?
Yeah, I agree entirely. If we made that rule, we have to stick to it, or else we're going to get into a hornet's nest.
Well, it's a rule that's always been there, other than the deviation last year. through the uncertainty of COVID, I think we're kind of past that uncertainty now. So I'm getting a consensus that we do not support this request. That it? Everybody?
So yeah, just so council's aware, I'll respond as a letter basically saying the council has chosen to maintain tax penalties on all properties.
I think that's all that's required. Okay. Next item up. Elgin County request for mural on Rodney Library. We know where this mural is going to go, Tress.
Yeah, the mural, they have a picture there, Mayor McPhail, where it's going to go basically on the side of the building where the drop box is, so on the south side. Yeah, I think this sounds great. We have all the requirements and safety in place and all the parameters of what's going on. And I think it's something that's great to add to our village. I support this.
So they're not painting this on the brick.
Are they?
They are.
Uh-oh.
Are they going
Yes, they want to paint it on the brick.
They do want to paint it on the brick?
Yes,
Yes.
Ouch. I don't know.
large scale outdoor mural.
No, I would be fine with it if it was a separate mural on a appropriate board affixed to the brick. But that's pretty long-term commitment. Once it's painted on brick.
If you want to, it says, please, it's technical.
Talks about anti-graffiti coating, and it's supposed to be guaranteed for 5 years, I think, as I recall.
Yeah.
Then after 5 years, it's the municipal problem to keep it maintained.
Yeah, and then if you want to remove it, like I would have no problem if it was put on a piece of something or other and then just affixed to the building, that if a change of use or change of all of a sudden cycling isn't cool anymore, we want to put on horses or something, that it's easily changed.
Well, Mr. Baker does, or Mike Baker said he would be willing to attend a council meeting if you have questions, because it never says that it's not, like it's affixed separately. To me, it looks like it's painted on the brick, but if you would like, you can reach out to him and ask him to come to a meeting and we can discuss it with him.
I think.
Yeah, can you come to a meeting?
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Our next meeting's pretty busy, but this one won't be long. I can still ask him to attend anyway if you want, if you would like, or would you like to wait until the second meeting in April when it's not quite as crazy?
They do have a deadline, don't they? They want to
That's
get
what I
these
was
on this
thinking.
summer.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking if we invite him to the next meeting.
I mean, it does say that the county is responsible for maintenance, so. But good questions to ask in a delegation for sure.
Yeah, I'll invite him. I mean, we have 2 delegations at the next meeting, but like you said, this is time sensitive. So with council's permission, we can go outside of the bylaw, like our procedure bylaw, which only allows 2. If you're comfortable, and give me direction to invite him anyway.
Yeah, but I think it would clear up a lot of items.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We're at the bylaw stage.
Okay, so that's me. So
Yeah.
our first bylaw is bylaw 2021-21, the tourism exemption from the Retail Holidays Act for the Rodney Market. So it's that bylaw 2021-21 being a bylaw to exempt the Rodney Market under Section 4 of the Retail Business Holidays Act, RSO 1990, to operate a retail sales on specific holidays, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, moved by Cameron, seconded by Leatham, all in favor?
Actually, and just so council is aware, I have contacted and visited every building or every business like you directed and given them letters. Some are interested, some aren't. I've given them to the end of March to respond. If anyone has any concerns and don't want us to move forward with not this specific one. I wanted to move forward on the Rodney Market, but for the tourism areas, for the whole roads. Everybody seemed receptive. They liked the idea that they didn't have to open. They had a choice.
Yeah.
Yes, Councillor?
And just to clarify that the wording in the bylaw talks
Oh,
about a
yes.
brewery, but that's a mistake. So just eliminate that.
Yes, I cleared it up on, yes, sorry, that was a typo on my part. So yes, they don't have a brewery in the Rodney Market. So the one for the full areas will be coming forward in April.
Okay.
So, and the next bylaw is bylaw 2021-22 to dedicate part of Finney Street as a public highway. Quick clarification, this is that extension of Finney Street that was provided to us or conveyed to us in 2019. This is a cleanup that we had missed and needed to be done as part, has to be done before some sales, some transactions and legal sales in that area, and they needed to be cleared up. So it's that bylaw 2021-22 being a bylaw to dedicate part of lots 5 and 111, plan 199, designated as part 4 on reference plan 11R 2114 ST easement as in E233911 municipality of West Elgin, being pin 35113-0811 LT as public highway to be known as part of Finney Street, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, moved by Leeson, seconded by
Cameron?
Tellier, all in favor? That's
We
carried.
are not moving forward with bylaw 2021-23 at this point. So our next bylaw is bylaw 2021-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on March 25th, 2021. Be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, Rowe and Tellier, all in favor? And that is carried.
We are set to adjourn at 11:58 a.m.
Mover and seconder for adjournment, moved by Cammert, seconded by Tellier, all in favor? That is carried. Well, thank you very much. We got through that without skin in our knees, so have a great day, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you.